Hey yo, welcome back. It's Ty Ty. You tired of your auto-tune sounding off? Let's get into it. Alright, I hope y'all like that new intro. Me and my girl just got that all taken care of a couple days ago. But auto-tune, depending on what type of genre you're in, and most genres nowadays, it's very, very important. And there's a right way, a wrong way to do things, and you want to get the most out of every little detail that you possibly can. So let's go ahead and hop in. I'm going to break some things down for you, and we're going to be running off of a track called Power of a Dollar that dropped about 2 weeks ago. And I'll go ahead and leave a link down in the description if y'all want to go check it. It's on all platforms, streaming live. Alright, so the most common, we got Antares here. And before we get into any settings at all, let's go ahead and hop into Auto Key. And this is a good, easy way to find your BPM and your key. Now, if you don't have Antares, say you're using Waves or the one from Slate, you can use like Audio Keychain and other websites like that, but I do find this to be pretty accurate. So basically all you're going to want to do is go ahead and just play the track and then click listen. Still waiting on the BPM. Alright. So then you go ahead and just send to Autotune. And then that will go into any Autotune from Antares that you actually have on your file. So whether you're using Artist, Pro, EFX, anything like that, boom, it's going to go ahead and auto-populate. And you can readjust your retune speed, humanize, all that stuff. Now, I will say this. If you are using an Apollo Twin, you got the X8, the X6, whatever, go ahead and use it through the console. Same type of deal. And they also have a newer update, which I haven't tried that one yet. Now, one thing that I've been doing recently, now, before we get into that, you can go ahead and mark over here, record, which I actually did not do. So we're going to go ahead and start recording through that. Basically, this will print your auto-tune on your track. Now, if I was actually recording, most of the time I'm not going to print. I'll just go ahead and monitor it. That way I have more control later on in the mixing process. But one thing that I've been doing is kind of just maxing out my retune speed, and then that way, you can tell every little imperfection as you're performing or your artist is performing and you're monitoring them. And then you can back it off later. Now, I wouldn't say that would apply to anyone or everyone, because some people really got some vibrato in their voice and things like that, and it really can mess up the settings and just kind of sound crazy. All right, and actually, before we get into any more settings at all, one really, really important thing to me is to track through your auto-tune. When I first started, I didn't have a great computer, and you got to work with what you got. But if you're recording and then putting the auto-tune on it later, a lot of times it's gonna sound like a band-aid over it. It doesn't sound like you're actually really good. There's just a different sound. It does. It sounds like it's just placed over top of it, and when you're recording through it, it's like its own instrument. You know what I mean? And it's fused with your voice. You're working with it, not against it, and it also just makes it a whole lot easier to actually get it to sit exactly how you want it to. Alright, so let's actually go ahead and give this a listen here. I got a retune speed at 10 and humanize at 31.
Told me how you living, you gon' crash out. Low the way I hit it, she don't tap out. Keep a little thing on the south side.
So let me make sure I remember these settings, but listen to it fully maxed out. It's definitely going to be too much. You just want to really get it refined and sounding nice and proper, because it can easily be overdone or underdone. It just really depends on the flavor that you're going for. But let's go ahead and see it maxed out.
Told me how you living, you gon' crash out. Low the way I hit it, she don't tap out.
So it's very powerful on that. So with this song, I am going to back it off, and you can just kind of hear it just kind of pull everything in and sound a little more cohesive. So let's give it a play.
Told me how you living, you gon' crash out. Low the way I hit it, she don't tap out. Keep a a little thing on the south side. Puffin' on that Zooty, got me feeling right.
I actually really like how that sounds on 14. Let's see.
Told me how you living, you gon' crash out. Love the way I hit it, she don't tap out. Keep a little thing on the south side. Puffin' on that Zooty, got me feeling right. I don't wanna talk, I need that cash out. I see what you do.
So now with the humanize, it does take out some of those artifacts and just kind of smooths everything out, makes it sound a little more human. So you notice when I had it backed off at 14, 15, it was sounding smooth, but then when I bumped up the humanize, it kind of took a little bit of that essence away. So then I bumped up the retune speed just a little bit. Now one thing too here, you got your input types. So I have mine set to alto tenor. A lot of times that's kind of what I go with, but it does vary. It kind of just depends on the sound that you're going for. But let's go ahead and switch it. I'll start with the alto tenor and then I'll kind of bounce around through some of the other ones. Let's hear what it sounds like.
Told me how you living, you gon' crash out. Love the way I hit it, she don't tap out. Keep a little thing on the south side. Puffin' on that Zooty, got me feeling right.
So I'm sure you could hear there, the alto tenor definitely kind of for this song suits me better. With the low male, you're kind of getting more tune down in the low end, just kind of everything across the board. Now with the alto tenor, a lot of times you're getting more tuning on the mids and kind of up. Now the soprano, I would say that's probably more just the highs, and it does depend on the type of voice that you have, but it goes more than just the type of voice you have. It's kind of like almost like a filter of where the auto-tune is really sitting, but it does play a big role in that. Now the one thing too is the classic mode. Absolutely love that on certain things. It just adds that old little different essence of auto-tune that came with like the Evo and basically everything before the current Antares, but we'll go ahead and kind of trigger back and forth on that.
Told me how you living, you gon' crash out. Love the way I hit it, she don't tap out. Keep a little thing on the south side. Puffin' on that.
So if you notice, the classic almost sounds a little bit flatter. And, you know, I would say on some real future kind of like 56 Nights type stuff would work great, you know, especially maybe with like telephone effect or like a low pass filter, things like that. But the big key here, let me say this again, the big key here is what I'm about to show you. And for the longest time, I never ever changed this setting. It is a night and day difference. So if you're taking notes on anything, remember this little gem right here. So when you're recording, you can go to this setting here, and most of the time you're going to want low latency mode, especially if you're not going through the console, and low latency is going to be checked. So let's go ahead and listen to it real quick with it checked, and then I'm going to turn it off and let you decide what you think's the difference between the two.
Told me how you living, you gon' crash out. Love the way I hit it, she don't tap out. Keep a little thing on the side. Told me how you living, you gon' crash out. Love the way I hit it, she don't tap out.
Let's just go ahead and do that one more time.
Told me how you living, you gon' crash out. Told me how you living, you gon' crash out.
So you can really see the difference that turning on the low latency and turning it off really does. You know, it's amazing to track through with the low latency because then you can track with the auto-tune. But when it comes to the mixing process, turn that off every time, and it's instantly going to bring your auto-tune to the next level. So, you know, we could go into other settings with the auto-tune and, you know, the different variations of each. But what we're talking about today is making it sound the best that it possibly can. And, you know, everything else is kind of flavor-based. But as far as getting the most out of the plugin that you can, turn that low latency off every single time. Set your BPM and your key, and you're already going to be on the right track. You know, like I said, you can track fully maxed out. Sometimes I got a couple homies that sound absolutely amazing, even mixed with their retune speed at 0. Me personally, I can only get away with it on certain things, but I do like to back mine off a little bit. But I hope this helps. As always, this is Ty Ty bringing you radio quality music from home. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave in the comments below, and I'm going to catch you next week. Peace.